Welcome, Sarah Drake, to Artist Spotlight 2020 Millstream Arts Festival in collaboration with Art Crawl, downtown St. Cloud. And you're one of our artists that do both festivals or have done both festivals. So we're really happy to have you here today. So the first thing we'd like to talk about is who you are and what do you do, Sarah?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's fun
You're
to have
welcome.
participated in both. First and foremost, I'm a mom, and that really has guided the work that I've done. And I'm a humanitarian, and my daughter's biracial. And so part of trying to create a world for her in central Minnesota, she's 17 now, so going back several years, seeing diversity in the arts in central Minnesota, it wasn't there. And so using art to have conversations with people about whether it was race, diversity, discrimination, things that were hard to have conversations with physical or with words, taking it physical and making artwork. So that's been through painting. I'm currently a collagist and an author. I'm a teaching artist, a curator, um, and working with community through the arts. So many hats, but it all gets to that purpose of community and bringing people together through the arts.
Yes, and one thing you mentioned is you mentioned author, and we have a picture of your book cover here. You mentioned author and other parts of your background. Would you like to share a little bit more on your background and
Yeah,
maybe
so
this book here we have up here also?
Nenu's Promise, A Journey Beyond Hauling Water, I wrote and illustrated. It's based on my 7 trips to Burkina Faso, which is a tiny country in Western Africa. And it's fiction, but based in truth. So, with all the women and girls that I've met, it's their collective stories about having to haul water because they don't have access. And, her desire to be a painter. I really got back into the arts after my first trip and being able to paint with the women. They still live in huts in this village and they paint on them. And so it's a long, long tradition. And in the story, the girl wants to paint with grandma, but grandma says she has to go to school, and because grandma didn't get to go to school. And that part is based on my grandma, who is 101, still alive, and she wasn't allowed to go to school beyond 8th grade, and that's still reality for many people across the world. So that's the inspiration behind the book.
So you shared a image of you painting on the houses too in Burkina Faso, um, and um, and so you this is definitely in this book is an experience you've had and can really the images are from places you've seen and experiences you've had.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep. And so the woman there um, is the grandma in the book story. It's inspired by her.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And then the next one is of you reading the book. Um, and sharing that and your
Yeah,
experience.
get out into community. So Munsinger Gardens, the is next to the Mississippi River, and the river, and then you've got the water fountain there. So water, just that connection. That area is a huge spot for me for inspiration when I write, and so had to bring the book to those places. That
Absolutely. So how has your practice changed over time?
I have always been self-taught, and so I seek out opportunities to learn things. But really, I started out painting. And because of health issues, I've had to change and adapt and, then switch to paper collage because that doesn't cause me pain to do. Um, and then writing, because we all, I think as artists, we get to a point in life where sometimes we're forcing things and that's not good. And I was really trying to force a couple of things to come through that didn't. And so that's when I looked more at teaching and then switching to doing the children's book so that um, I could accommodate my health needs, but then also having multiple streams of inspiration. I'm not a do one thing and work on that until it's done. I've tried, it just doesn't work. I always have a bunch of projects going at the same time and I need multiple streams of inspiration coming at me. So um, changed in the sense that I tried to do it like others, it just doesn't work. So back to just doing a bunch of things that I can do based on how I feel and what the community needs. Um, and that's kind of how I go.
And here's an image of you teaching. What's the image of you teaching? This piece here.
Yeah, this we there I do a lot of teaching residencies, and um, one of the things I thought of when I was trying to look at something new and thinking about my experience as a young artist is nobody taught us the business side of being an artist. It's just making art. And so here we worked with a business owner from Nigeria, and the students got to learn about her culture, and they had to work with her to come up with designs and choosing colors and how we adapt and work to scale. And, they came up with a great idea, and the owner came out and was like, "Oh, this is great, but I hate the color red." And so the students like, "What do I do now?" And so things that will help them as they would make a commission or just learning how to work with other people and um, adapt and change and things that also go beyond the arts, right? Because we need to know how to work with people and make changes and collaborate outside the arts also. And so they made, I think, 5 different murals for that space, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. So, what work do you most enjoy doing, and what themes do you pursue?
I would say I'm it's all about community and people. So I'm not so much I'm an abstract or realist artist or I use this material. It really comes out of um, working with people and seeing what needs there are and people telling their stories, and then whatever that inspires is what I do. So that comes out through teaching, public art, collages. Um, this image here on the screen is one of my favorite pieces, not so much in technique, but the meaning behind it. So in the village Chibile that I go to in Burkina Faso, when there's a problem or there's something to talk about, people gather under the big baobab trees, at sunrise before they start doing their work and have a discussion about how to work together to solve it. And so this image is from the book when she tried a bunch of different ways to try and get water so that she could go to school and then paint with grandma. And so this image is based on a bunch of times that this really happened when I was there. And of course it happens for them all the time, but it's just the specialness of it. It took 9 years from my first visit to then doing this book. And so it was really kind of symbolic of like that first meeting we had together to all the work that we've done to where now we're finally building wells and we're getting girls in school, and now we have this.
All right. So this was a favorite art piece you shared and a real life situation that you experienced. And speaking of real life situations, what is an artistic outlook life now during COVID for you?
You know, I'm really fortunate that in a way I feel like I've come out of all of this even better. Um, it I saw it coming and I started talking to the funders of my projects and saying, hey, this isn't how we applied for grant money, but could we do online? Could I make kits and give them to folks and then either do a phone call or give them handwritten instructions if they don't have access to the internet? And so I was on that right away at the time when they're like, we don't understand how this could even work. And so it took some time to get them to understand. Then once schools went online and things, um, so I feel really fortunate because I was able to adapt those things. And that's kind of been the premise of my art from the beginning. It's all about adapting, whether it's to my health, the situation I'm in, or what. Really fun to see some of the kids, like they seem to do better. They didn't have such a masculine peer pressure feel to their art, and being able to have conversations with them, it really got to see them blossom and do a lot better.
I think we have a
To where I'm like,
picture of that,
maybe
of the working and teaching with kids.
we'll keep doing online outside, working with just a couple kids, and but still messed up, and um, yeah, it's been great. And so this one was actually my first residency using my book, and so they're making their own books based on a problem that they had that they wanted to solve. It's the book, and this residency was about empowering students, that they have skills and strengths, and sometimes we need to ask for help, but that the project was really about them being able to empower themselves.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I know that we have ways that people can get a hold of you for purchasing work. They can follow you on Instagram, Her Arts in Action, also on
Yep.
Facebook, Her Arts in Action, and they can probably message you through those social media platforms, but also they can go to herartsinaction.org /Sarah Drake and purchase a book there. And I know that you have a special going for people that use the code Millstream. If they use that, they can get something special from you. So that's an exciting piece too. So they can get a book and purchase your work through there also. Inquire about the residencies that you're talking about and opportunities that you have done for our community through your website. So, with all the things you've been doing, what are some memorable responses you've had for your work?
One residency, we work with South Junior High and Holding Ford, and it's a collaboration, and we meet at different places for the kids to then also tour um, art exhibitions. And one of the times I actually had artwork up at the Paramount, and a Black student a boy came around the corner, and I just happened to look to catch him. He literally like jumped in the air, his hands up, he left the ground, and he's like, "That looks like me." And that was the whole point of the art series that I've been working on, Beyond 28 Days and MLK, of that idea of getting people to see and learn about Black people beyond MLK Day and Black History Month. And so it was the first time that this student had seen himself represented in art and in a positive way. And it was really exciting to see him do that, have that response. And this one here is of Keisha. And I had contacted her several times, told her I wanted to make a collage of her. I wanted her to proof it to make sure I was representing her appropriately. And she never got back to me. And I hung it. And we were at an event where it was hung. And I said, "Hey, come look at my artwork." And she came over and she's like, "That looks like me. There's no facial features, but that looks like me." And I'm like, "This is based on you." And so again, her being like, "How did you capture me? Like, you didn't even get to talk to me about it." And so those two are kind of like the big things of like, yeah, and that's the whole idea of helping change the narrative that's been out there, of including people of color in the arts, representing them positively, and changing those conversations.
Let's look at, since we're looking at one of your pieces, oh, let's go down to the collage. Let's look at the collage Florence. Look at some of your pieces.
Yeah. So Florence does a lot of work in the community gardens and education with immigrants and refugees, and this was one that I made of her.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing your
All the different
collage.
layers. A lot of people think collage. Well, I say people think collage is so easy. Oh, you're just putting paper together, and it's like, no, you've got to look at like the different layers and make sure this one gets glued down before that one. And so this is definitely one of those pieces.
There's a lot of layers happening in this piece here, and lots of, even with the people, there's layers upon layers with that also. So what is your dream project, Sarah? What's a dream project that you have?
it it's kind of based on everything I've said. Engaging with community and something that they say they want or need, and being able to help facilitate that. And so I don't know exactly what that looks like. It's about community and telling stories, and getting it out there for people to see. As I know, I plan to do more books, I plan to do more residencies and collages, and part of me feels like maybe it's something of all these things coming together. But what it exactly looks like at this point, I'm not sure. But it's
Hmm.
got to have those components.
Yes, and you've been doing some of that already with your book, and then with the collages in here too, and then doing the residency in connection with the book,
Yeah.
and also bringing that awareness, that social justice piece that we see come through in your
Mhm.
work and through your book. So I definitely see like a culmination here happening. Definitely. So professionally, what's your goal? What's next for Sarah?
I've always wanted to get my PhD. I have my master's degree, but what that would be, not sure. Um, you know, I I don't see myself going back to the traditional job. I really enjoy, teaching and making art, and just that having control over my schedule and my time, that flexibility to to work in community and get that inspiration. And then it could be other times where I'm just making art. I'm kind of a I'm teaching now, I'm making art there. It's hard to kind of do them all at once. And so I I think I've finally started to find the groove of these things. And so I think I'm probably doing what I want to be doing professionally. And if you would have asked me that a year ago, I don't think I could have said that. But I think I'm really starting to figure it out. And I don't know that I want to change it right now. So
And you don't have to. You don't have to. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing, Sarah, you for sure. And again, I just want to remind our audience that they can find your book, they can find your beautiful collages, they can learn about your social, your work you're doing with your nonprofit, Her Arts in Action, on also on your website here. There's lots of different facets to Sarah, as you can see. We've enjoyed hearing so many different things about her work and her residencies, and we can follow that also on social media and Her Arts in Action, and contribute to different things that she is a part of and supporting, that we as audience members can really be a part of. So thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to share before we close today?
I'm just grateful for this. It's awesome bringing this opportunity online for both the artists and audience members. And so thank you for doing that.
You are very welcome. Thank you for being here, Sarah, and sharing your art with us. Again, go out and get your book and use Millstream as your code when you order something from Sarah on her website, Her Arts in Action, and you get a free little special gift, it sounds like, that someone will get.
Yep. Hey, Mill Stream Watchers.
Uh, all right. Thank you so much, Sarah. Have
You
a wonderful day.
too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.